Guys, welcome everyone to Check Me. We got a little different setup here today. We got my best friend Chris Walley on here to provide some context around. I call him the expert. He says, "Don't call me an expert," but I call him the expert. But want to talk a little bit more about what we're seeing and the transfer portal. I think the Nico situation really kind of propelled a lot when it comes to like, hey, look, we're starting to see some disadvantages the players are being aware of. But Chris Walley, once again, JUCO transfer, all conference quarterback. Has a couple of records at Norfolk State football. Was getting looked at some teams. Went to HBCU ball. He's here to join us today and talk more about just this whole situation with the NIL. Chris, do you want to say anything before I kind of prep the first topic in question?
Yeah, just appreciate you having me on. We've been talking about this for a while.
For a while.
It's cool to finally be on here, and hopefully we can do a lot more and have some fun with this deal.
Yeah, no. So and just so you know, we've had multiple conversations like about it, even like on the phone, like, hey man, you see what's going on? And we sometimes we differ on certain things. So I think it'll be some good dialogue here. And starting off with like just the outlook like of the NIL, like what are you seeing? What's your whole thought process on it? I know you've done some research, but just your complete outlook.
Yeah, when I first saw that, the headlines a few years ago about players getting paid, I said, you know what, this is a good thing. I remember being a guy even on scholarship at Norfolk, and I was still broke. We was on the 14 meal plan, so there's one meal a day that you're not getting. You got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And obviously these big schools, they got it made already. Even before getting paid, they've got all the things that they need to be successful. But guys are earning these schools, these conferences, and NCAA a lot of money, and it's coming off of their back. And so for them to get paid, in my mind, I was like, this is a good thing. Where it changed for me, though, is once I started understanding, okay, where's the money coming from? And it started coming from third parties outside of the university, the conference, the NCAA. My tune changed a little bit on not the fact that, hey, they shouldn't get paid. It's just how they're getting paid. I didn't like it. Because you've got certain schools, and it's showing, it's proven right now, you've got certain schools that are always going to have more money than others.
Mm-hmm.
And so that sets up for an unfair advantage for some. So that's really where it kind of it landed with me of having these businesses or rich alumni coming in and just throwing their pocketbooks at these players that are kids at the end of the day, and they're going to do what's best for them and their families, and that's understood. But it definitely makes for an unfair advantage across the board.
Yeah, I did a video on YouTube not too long ago. You can see it archived, like just why student athletes should be paid. I've been a long advocate for it. I've supported it. I really thought, initially it was going to come from the NCAA, from the conferences, from the schools, but that was not the case. Destroying famous YouTuber was one that really kind of propelled it. He was doing YouTube. He was at a kicker for UCF, Central Florida, and he lost his scholarship for making money off his YouTube because his YouTube was growing. And it's like I do believe that's unfair. They should get paid, but it really has been the Wild Wild West. There's really no structure, which creates advantages for the athletes, but also disadvantages. You mentioned the conferences, right? Like there used to be one of the reasons why the conferences were about was to say, hey, look, there should be fairness in the conferences and in with like the Big Ten, the SEC, ACC, but also within the conferences, right? Making sure the playing field is level. The NFL, they have a salary cap, right? Yep. We see in baseball no salary cap, and you see there's top heavy teams like the Yankees every year that can pay the guys, but then you have like the Toronto Blue Jays or these smaller markets that can't pay them. Right. We're seeing that. What have you seen with the schools, the conferences? Like, what have you seen with that?
So to me, as far as where it's at right now, even so, let's take the SEC, right? The SEC and the Big Ten. You look at them, and you still have your top teams at the top that have naturally been there. But now, one positive, well, I guess it's going to kind of go into the portal discussion that we're going to have, as far as there is some change in there being a little more level playing field with that portion. But when it comes to the money portion, your top schools are still going to be the guys that have the most money. Your LSUs, your Georgias, your Ohio States, your Oregons of the world. They're going to be on top of the conference if we continue to go down the route that we're going, because they are going to have the bucks to pay these guys. Players now are putting a dollar sign, a figure on themselves of what they feel like they're worth, especially compared to what's out there. And they want to meet that standard. And I understand that. But at what point does it stop? Where is the threshold? Where was it enough to be a college athlete with everything that comes with that naturally, be a part of a program? And, Dion says it the best, right? Go get the bag. The bag isn't in college. Like, a few $1,000,000 in college, that's not the bag. The bag is, hey, let's be at a great program, work hard, get developed, go to the NFL, shine, and then get that generational wealth. 3, 4, 5, $10 million isn't generational wealth. You can run through that real quick if you're not smart.
Yeah, it
And
ain't that pretty.
yeah, and so it's unfortunate, I think, where it's at right now, but it's something that I think that can be fixed. It's just got to be done the right way.
Yeah, I think that's the development piece. Like in with the I did some analysis on the NCAA men's basketball, right? And I was talking about the product of women's basketball versus the product of men's college basketball. The product of women's basketball is a lot more intriguing now, right? Because we get to follow these girls go 4 years, 4 years of college. They're getting paid more in college than they'll get paid in WNBA, right? And
Yep.
we see, like, one of the top players from LSU, Flo, I forgot what her name. I should know what her name is, but she's going back to her senior year because the
Yep.
money's better in college.
Yeah.
With men's basketball, like since 2003, there's only been like one or two guys that have been drafted that were a junior or senior. And the NBA is going overseas. They're going to the overtime league. These guys are doing one and done. So Cooper Flagg, number one recruit now, he's not even going to. He's probably going to go to the NBA after 1 year, right?
Yeah.
So the NBA, the NCAA, we've already seen how, like, but the development of a college basketball player is different than the NFL. It's a man's game in the NFL. That 3 year requirement is critical to the development of a football player. Like, understand, first of all, just the brutality abuse of the body, the hits, the learning curve is huge. Like, it's huge. You can get away with that in some aspect of the NBA, the athleticism, but like in the NFL, you can have athleticism, but it's not going to always help you. You can't get away with that.
Everybody's athletic.
Everybody's athletic. They play, they're fast. Like, you can't just get away from, unless you have crazy speed like an Xavier Worthy, or and then, like, hey, you're a stress to field guy. With the schools and conferences, it used to be like, hey, look, I'm going to play in the SEC, right? And I like that aspect. There was credibility to that. It made the conferences a little bit more prolific. And now it's just, I don't see that. The history, right? Like, hey, you're going to the guy, hey, look, we have a history out here at, like, Alabama. When Nick Saban played Alabama, we have a history at Alabama.
Yeah.
Like, you're about to play, hey, roll tide. Like, we're about to play, we're on discipline, but this brand you're wearing when you go in the league is going to transcend what you do here in college.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm a big tradition guy. I love college football, and we're slowly losing that. Our buddy Travis Norton, we've had a lot of discussion too, and he could care less about the
You have to get him on here.
He would be a very good one to get on here and hear his opinion.
Yeah.
But you look you mentioned as far as players making more in college than they will in the profession of the
Not
sport.
not in in NCAA football, but men's basketball. I mean, women's basketball.
But even still, I mean, I don't know if the figure is 100% correct, but they were talking about Carson Beck making $10 million to go down to Miami. He's making a lot more than guys are in their rookie deals in the NFL. In 1 year, some of these guys are making more than what NFL players are making in 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And so, it is enticing to go back for that. And I can't fault the guys for it, right?
Mhm.
It's there. Take it while you can. I just don't like how it's done. That's really what it comes down to. And it's not, I don't, the players they're playing the game that with the rules they're dealt right now, and they're taking full advantage of it. And I can't fault them for that. I just think that it could be better. Some of the things that I had pulled up, revenue sharing is now going to be a thing. Just a couple quick numbers. This is just the revenue from 2022 and the 2023 season. So a couple, a few years ago, the Big Ten brought in 800, just shy of $880 million.
And they had the highest.
They had the highest. The SEC was second with 852, just over 852.5 million.
I'm surprised. I mean, those conferences did get big, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
So the football teams, like if we're just strictly speaking football, the football teams are bringing in about 75% of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you're looking at the Big Ten. Football's bringing in just shy of 660 million. The SEC 639.5. Well, if they were to even just give, that's 36 for the Big Ten. That's $36 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they give half of that back to each team, just half of it. You're looking at $18 million a team. Okay. So you have a flat line of here's $18 million per team. And by the way, that's 2022 and 2023. That was before they had Oregon, USC, Washington, and UCLA.
Oh, wow. Okay. That was my question. Like,
so now those numbers are even higher, right? Those numbers are higher now than what they were. The SEC brought in Texas and Oklahoma. Those numbers are higher. ACC brought in SMU, Stanford, Cal. So like every conference outside the Pac-12 brought in more teams, so that means there's more revenue. And those numbers that what
was the Pac-12's numbers?
Was it Pac-12 was 603, just under 604.
There are 3 or 4. They brought in more than ACC.
They were 4. They brought in more than the Big Ten. And by the way, these numbers at 75%, given the 36 million per team, that's the numbers from 2022, but with the current amount of teams now. So the Big Ten has 18, the SEC has 16. So those numbers are gonna be bigger. So give them guys half, because really, when I look at it, I go, okay, what is the conference doing with almost $900 million? What are they doing with it? Who's getting paid somewhere? What kind of hedge fund is this going to?
Yeah, somebody's getting paid
per year. Come on, man! Like these kids,
I'm pretty sure they're eating it. I'm pretty sure they're eating well. They're eating it. Like
right.
I guarantee that.
To me, 75%. If that's the football team, give them at least half of that going back. Okay, and then every other sport, whatever they bring in, give half back. Right? That can give these athletes money and opportunity for them to just make you more money and help your brand. And then I went back and I just picked the first one I saw. UGA, they're talking about the revenue share for this year. I think they were capping it out at 20.5 million for a lot of schools, because it was pretty broad from what I looked at. But that's the school paying it, right?
Yeah.
So the athletic department for Georgia brought in just over $125.5 million in 1 year. Football is bringing in 85% of that. Well, they're only getting 20% of that 85 that they're bringing in if they're giving them that amount. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's already been through court and all that. They heard it. That's the number they got. All right. So that's where we're at. Well, if you pile on another $20 million on top of that, every school's got $40 million. The highest paid school right now, just saw it just a few minutes before this deal started. Texas has
I saw
22.272
that.
million.
Yeah.
You're doubling what they've got. And if you can put that across the board evenly, get to that salary cap that we're looking at, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for, hey, these schools are bringing this in. And I understand some people are going to say, well, Alabama and LSU are bringing in more than Vanderbilt. You are 100% correct. But they're in your conference. You
Mm-hmm.
invited them in. They're a part of the family. We can't look at them like like some stepchild thrown away. Okay, they're in your family. They're a part of it. So here's your portion. If you don't want to give them that portion, then change your conference and bring in the guys that you want. Fix that. But that's a good way to have parity across the board financially. Give them a salary cap and let the coaches within or the football program within divvy that out. Let's have professionals in there that are managers of this team to pay these kids, not Mr. Got all the money in the world over here just saying, I'm going to give you this because I'm the biggest fan.
Mm-hmm.
Michigan did it, right?
With a date, there was a point I got that I'll pay XYZ to come here.
Right. I'm going to give you X amount of dollars every year to have the best quarterback. What is that?
Yeah.
That is just completely, it's not college football. It's not anywhere. Where else are you finding that?
Yeah.
Except in college sports, dealing with a bunch of kids, and you're saying this to kids that are coming out of high school. And are they worth it? Maybe, they're going to earn the schools a lot of money. And like I said, I'm not mad at the kids, but really the kids could probably make more if you're giving them these revenue shares, and if you're giving them, some of this back that they're making to the conference. Everybody can make more. And I saw an article over the weekend that they're even talking about, and you may know more about it than I do. Legislation is talking about head coaches. The title of the article said that Kirby Smart may be pushed to the NFL because they're talking about lowering their salary based on the number of students, because he's getting paid, I don't know, I think it's over $10 million. And by the numbers that they gave, he was going to make under $1 million. And it's something that's being talked about. And in my mind, I'm going, okay, so now we're going to cap the coaches, but then you're going to give the players.
I didn't see that, but you can't cap the coaches. You can't. They'll go. Yeah.
In my mind, it's like, some people don't like what Saban has said about, the players. He said, they're looking for two things: how much am I going to play, and how much am I going to get paid? Mm-hmm. And some people don't like that. And they say, well, you need to keep your mouth shut because you've made X amount of money. Yeah. And he made it over a 50-year career almost.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And he's somebody that's gone through the trenches. He's earned his keep. I feel like he's done it the right way for the most part. I'm sure there's things that have gone on within, when all this NIL deal wasn't a thing.
I'll say this. I don't like, and people don't understand the last 4 years that Nick Saban, his last 4 years before he went out, he was number one. You combine all the years, he was number one. He had the best recruiting in the last 4 years. It wasn't like he was losing guys in the portal,
right?
Or he wasn't recruiting guys. He can recruit guys. Yeah. I don't think that was an issue. And Alabama now has a brand that people support, people appreciate. I personally believe that Jalen Milroe made Nick Saban quit. Like, he for 3 years, you can't develop. This guy didn't develop at all, and he made the SEC look really bad the last 2 years. But with going back to what you said, like, I feel like, yeah, it is looking more like NFL. Right? If we have this NFL, like, they can get sponsorship, they can get AL money. they can get money from the school, from the pool. Like there should be some structure like NFL, and I think that the structure of NFL should be like a salary cap, right? Where each team gets a certain amount of revenue. Because I just don't see like Vanderbilt is not going to be able to keep up with Alabama.
No.
And then the Big Ten schools, and I told you like these athletes, Maryland went to. I was trying to figure out why did Maryland go to the Big Ten? Like, because of money, right? You're playing games in Oregon one week, the next week you're playing a game, in College Park, right, or outside DC, or LA and DC. Like, you have access throughout, and the money is more appealing in the Big Ten, right? And I talked about like these athletes from Florida, like I'm gonna go play. I'm not gonna play in Deep South. I'm playing Big Ten, right? It's more appealing. Right. It's nicer. It's the campus, blah blah, like the weather. Or whatever. They may want to get out. It's going to Alabama. If you go to Alabama, it's more appealing for a kid to go play at UCLA, or more appealing for a kid to play at Oregon, right? The facilities and everything. But I feel like there has to be some type of cap to what the players, what companies, what the organizations, the teams can actually, and the conferences can actually do. And I'm thinking like maybe let's bring back the Power 4, Power 5. Like let's make them true,
Yeah. And it's, and I made the comment about the Vanderbilts getting the same across because they're a part of the conference. If you don't want to do that, that's fine too. Just break it down to who brings in what, and then pay out from what the conference is given, right? If your brand is earning more or making more, bringing in more,
you can use
that's okay too, right? There's no problem with that. But at least, hey, here's a dollar amount. We're going to give it the conference to the teams. Say you want to base it on whatever percentage they've brought in, but give that back. Give that back to the players. Let them do it.
Every team in the conference starts with a baseline of $20 million. We're giving $20 million back to you to use for recruiting, whatever it is.
Right. Whatever you want to do with it, and then let them decide. If it's real hard, in my opinion, the coaches don't have much leverage right now when the rich man down the street is saying, hey, I'm going to give you this, even if it's the coach of your own team, right? The whole Nico situation, I don't know how much truth there is to it, but there's reports coming out that he started leveraging himself going into the playoff game. Like, oh, well, we've got paid to play these 12 games. If you want my guy to play, we need to get paid a little bit more for this playoff game. And now you're putting the team in jeopardy. And he wasn't the only one, right? They said there were multiple people doing this. What is that? It's just, where is the commitment in it? Where is the, it's just about the money now. For a lot of them, there's still, obviously there are the majority of the football players in college football are still playing college football because that's what they want to do, because everybody's not making millions of dollars. Let's be honest. There's still a, that 2% within college football is making these big dollars.
And did Nico, was Nico really that good this year? Like,
that's my thing too. It's like, you didn't really, you have great talent. But what did you do? Sure, you made the playoffs, but you didn't make the SEC championship.
Right.
You go to Ohio State, and apparently, if you are trying to leverage yourself to give me more money, and then you go into Ohio State and you lay an absolute egg, what is that?
Like, I don't know. You're in the SEC, what's the point? Like, so that's why I'm like, going to like the transition to like the transfer portal, right? Like guys transferring with Nico. I like the idea of the transfer portal. If a guy's like, like they said, you transfer, like, hey, look, I'm a guy, I'm a quarterback that works, or like, for example, like I'm a receiver and I got recruited, or I go to a JUCO and I say, you know what, I'm not getting a lot of offers. I go to a JUCO, a Division I JUCO, and I come out my sophomore year, and I'm ready to play and add to your team now. It does make the coaches less of recruiters, but more GMs. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
I can develop this freshman, or I can go to the portal and I need a cornerback next year. Let me go get a cornerback. Let me
Yep.
talk to this guy. And I think you can find some good players in the portal that are looking, like not necessarily chasing the money. And if they're chasing the money, hey, look, chase the money. If you're ball out, no matter doesn't matter where you go, you're gonna get noticed,
Right.
right? The money, whatever can or can't come, will come if you're gonna ball out. But I do like the idea that the transfer portal, I know it's not the only thing that's happening, it is making the coaches be better GMs and coach better. If a guy can go into the portal and develop over 2 years, and you can get him rather than him being a freshman, because these freshmen, we talk about NIL, these freshmen start not being loyal first. And I think
Right.
what pressured the transfer portal was these freshmen asking, I want XYZ money. And you're like, all right, like I don't know what you're going to be. I don't know what you're
Right.
going to be. Let me go to the portal and get somebody, pay somebody cheaper, right? Who
At
maybe
least
it's
a little
NIL.
proven.
You said what?
At least they're a little proven.
Right, they're low proven. Let me go get a resource now, and then like plug and play. And I can why recruit a freshman if I can go to the portal every year? Unless it's a freshman that's like just a maker. It makes the coaches a dog. That makes the coaches do coach better, develop people better. Right, you're not going to just be here. And I think where Travis, because I talked about it a little bit as well too, the tradition of you're Alabama, you're going to play Alabama, you're going to expect this tradition. It's like, hey, look, now you have to really, level set with that athlete, student athlete, and say, hey, look, you're here. It's about me and you communicating, developing you as well. But like, I want you as a person. Um, and I do think it makes the coaches coach better, make them be better recruiters, make them look at their personnel better. I think it's going to make the college game a lot more complex, or can I say advanced on the field than it has been.
So when somebody signs, right, and they do
Mhm.
their commitment, on national television, Under Armour game, what do they always say, right? I'm going to go to so and so university, or for the next 3 to 4 years, no,
Yeah, not
it
anymore.
ain't 3 to 4 years. My
Not
thing
anymore.
is I'm okay with the portal. Okay. I transferred into Norfolk State through the JUCO ranks. But that was a natural transfer, right? You
Yeah,
naturally had, because
that was
when,
way before everything.
right. And there was a transfer rule back then that I actually would like to let's implement a little bit. I'll give you my ideas on all that in a little bit. Um, but my whole thing with the transfer portal now is the way it's set up is when does, we grow up from a young age learning to respect the coach. He's of authority. It's just natural, right? You
Mhm.
respect your parents, your coaches, your bosses, your teachers, whoever. Um, and so if I'm going to commit to go to a school, then I've done my research up to that point to commit there. Because if I've got an offer to commit to the University of Florida, I damn sure got a bunch of offers to go somewhere else.
Mhm.
And so what I don't like is that kids can, at least how it started off, they can decommit, or they can jump ship and transfer from one school to the next school to the next school to the. What are we teaching kids? That's my problem with it. It's like, oh, my situation didn't work out here, so I get to jump ship. Like, where's the commitment in I'm going to work hard for something and I'm going to go earn it and prove myself? Now, I'll give you my personal opinion of what I would like to see the transfer portal look like. Okay. Back in the day, it would be okay, if you're transferring, then you would be a grad transfer or you sit out a year, right? That was just
Mhm.
black
Right.
and white. Okay. The way I would like to see it, I would like to see, okay, grad transfer once again, because you've earned that. You went and
Mhm.
got a degree. You earned that on the classroom side of things. Okay. If there's a coaching change, if your coach leaves, you should be allowed to go. No,
Mhm.
no, no, nothing said. If you are injured and you are replaced and You're like, you know what? My situation isn't very good anymore because I lost my spot over an injury. I'm okay. I'm okay with that. Go. You get your freebie. But then you also get at least one freebie. You get at least one transfer. You say, you know what? I thought this was the right situation for me. I put in my time. It didn't work out, and I'm leaving. I'm good with at least one. Anything outside of that, you, you should have to sit out. Like
Yeah, the
even if it
TJ
doesn't,
Kennedy, right?
even if it doesn't, let's say it doesn't take away a year of eligibility, right? They're
Yeah,
giving them 5th years now. They're talking about JUCO years not even counting anymore. Hell, I got
six,
2 more
seven
years of
years, right?
eligibility. Heck,
Yeah,
really, I got 3 more years of eligibility. Sign me up, man. Somewhere, Kennesaw State. Give me
I'll say
$25,000. I'll pay off a student loan.
Chris Walley's Advanced State quarterback.
I don't know if I can go that far.
What's the guy's name off of what was his name? Uncle Rico?
Yeah, I can do it. But that's my whole thing is that I don't like that they can just jump ship as fast and as quick as it can happen. I just saw today that there's a receiver, from Florida State, got to school in January, went through spring practice, and now he's leaving.
Yeah, I saw
It's
that.
like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I understand that, if it don't work out for you right away and you feel like maybe your time is up, but I can't do that with my job. I can't just not. I'm not happy today. It ain't working out. Let me just jump ship and jump ship and jump ship because somewhere down the line somebody's going to go, well, why did you keep leaving? You're not. How am I going to think you're committed to me? I think that's the. I don't know the situation with Nico right now. But I dang sure would have thought that when he decided not to show up and they cut ties with him, that he had
Yeah.
something already in the bag waiting on him. There should
Right.
have already been. We're going on this Tuesday night. We're going on Wednesday, and we don't know where you don't know where you're going yet. That should have already been in the works. So, and to me, with his situation, if they can get Milton to the Patriots and playing well, now that dude had a cannon, but as far as just overall pure quarterback, he can't touch Nico. You are in
Yeah.
a school with a coach that is going to help you be successful and a team that's on the rise.
Yeah.
And I think he was in a really good situation. I don't know who his advisors are. I've heard his father is a part of it and somebody else.
I saw some stuff like that, like his father, and
Yeah,
I mean,
I think he got some bad information. I really do because I think if you look at the long game of it, I think Tennessee would have developed him better than his current options. I don't know,
I think if it was if I'm looking at the last three Tennessee quarterbacks that what was Milton, what was the other guy's name that beat Alabama, if you
I
look
could.
like I look at the Tennessee quarterbacks, I'm thinking to myself, like, are they really developing league ready quarterbacks? Right? No, they aren't. But I don't. And the question is, if it came out that was the case, hey, I'm leaving Tennessee because though I may do good in college, they're not developing me for the league. If that was the main thing, I say, okay, right. Like I look at Caleb Williams, right? I say, okay, Caleb Williams with USC, he went to a coach that developed quarterbacks, right? He did at Oklahoma, right? He did, he had what he had. Was it Baker he first started with? Who was it? I know he did Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Hurts, no,
He had,
Kyler Murray,
yeah,
Jalen Hurts, the same type of quarterback. I'm going to coach. I'm going to play in the same system. He's going to develop me, right? Like I get that. I like that idea of like, okay, that's why you're transferring. Where was Caleb Williams at first? He was um
Oklahoma, and
Oklahoma,
then he
right?
went to UNC. Yep.
So I like that you go with your coach, right? I'm not saying that there has to be some type of I think there has to be some type of parameters, not to protect necessarily the teams, but protect the players. They like they and because I think that they're really some. I think transfers, the options of transfer should be there, and there's also too the idea of like continuing education, right? We want them to play now because hey, look, I'm a sophomore. I want to continue my. I don't want to finish school and then have to spend more money getting my master's degree or doing this or whatever. Like, I do think that there has to be some type of um, structure around it. Don't know what that looks like. Um, when it comes to the player side, I do like the fact that because the NFL, you play for the Saquon Barkley, you play for the Giants. Okay, y'all gonna pay me? I'm gonna go to the Eagles and win a Super Bowl.
Right.
That like it's not necessarily the tradition of like, oh, my dad was still a fan, I want to play for the Steelers. You know, I think we're going more towards that in college football, where the players can take back their narrative, but there has to be some guidance around somebody. You look at somebody like, why is this person transferring? And they end up in the league. And then you look at somebody like, why are you transferring? You're like, okay, you see why. Like TJ Finley, I don't know how many times TJ Finley transferred, and every time that pops up on my feed, I'm just like, bro,
He's trying to
like
break a record.
he made how many at school and I don't know what the guy's going through, right? But if I'm just thinking to myself like, at what point, like, what are we going for? LSU, Auburn, Texas State, Western Kentucky, Hilltoppers, Tulane, and then he's about to start his 7th year of college, and he's transferring out again.
Right. And so that's something too that you just mentioned. Listen to them schools that I did not mention that I'm okay with the automatic transfer is if I am, I don't think they're, if you want automatic eligibility as well to throw in there, let's say we get our one freebie. Okay. I got my one, I'm good. Let's say I
Yeah,
want to transfer again. My coach didn't leave. I didn't get injured. I haven't graduated. Okay. There shouldn't be a horizontal transfer. Either I'm moving up or I'm transferring down.
yeah,
Meaning maybe I'm at a Georgia Southern. Maybe I'm the quarterback from that just committed to Ole Miss, going from the Division II ranks moving up because that's helping me. Or maybe I'm at Ole Miss and it ain't working for me, and I want to play and I'm running out of time. Maybe I transfer down. Maybe I go from a SEC school down to let's even, I don't want to call it a Power Four, right? You got to get out of there. I was going to say maybe down to a Big 12 school, but they're able to get in the playoff with a conference championship. So you to me, you're moving up to help yourself, or you're moving down down a level or something to be able to get that automatic. Because I understand that there are guys that were under recruited and then shine at a lower
mhm,
level, give them an opportunity to play on that big stage. And then there's some guys that may have been over recruited or been a bust wherever they're at that level. Let them go ahead and go down and play. I'm good with that. My thing with, um, the difference you mentioned the NFL a little bit, and the difference between college and the NFL to me is one, the NFL has that professional structure, right? You talked about needing
mhm,
structure in the NCAA. But those guys too, they're working through contracts.
yeah,
They also have earned their way. They
yeah,
have been successful in college to get the right to be able to do those things. I don't like that I'm a freshman in high school demanding things, or a freshman in college demanding things, or even a sophomore in college demanding things. Yes, you are great. You have great talent, but what have you done? What have you done? Going to a
mhm,
playoff and laying an egg ain't it, because you didn't win any championships, and he's not the only one. He's just the top of the news right now because there's a large dollar figure attached to him. Um, but I just think that that all this could be the portal, even if you kept the portal all the same, if you fix the NIL portion of it, where there's parity across the board with the salaries, put these kids on contracts, and then it's a contract, right? Make them an employee, because at
yeah,
least then you have to abide by the contract, or you're giving your money back, or there's a buyout, right? I've heard that getting thrown around. Coaches get buyouts all the time. Hey,
yeah.
If I'm gonna put this kid, if I'm gonna give Nico $4 million and he decides to leave, well, you as a team, you got to buy out his contract. Just make it more legally binding instead of that wild, wild west you're talking about. And I think that could naturally help the portal as well, at least as far as the guys running for money. Because if I know that, hey, I have the opportunity to make the same amount of money here as I do over there because we all have the same cap that we're working under.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it helps you at least stay committed to something. And hey, I'm going to work this job that I've got, and because I've got opportunity, and I'm going to work my way up. Versus, oh, it didn't go my way, and I'm going to leave, and then I'm going to leave, and I'm going to leave. Because when they get out of college, what are they going to do the rest of their lives? Right? Every interview I've ever gone through, I 100% talk about my journey in football because it wasn't easy. I had success in college or in high school, but I failed myself in the classroom. Had to go to the JUCO ranks. It was tough. Guess what? Built myself back up. Went to Norfolk State. That first year wasn't great, right? Second year, built back up. We had a good squad, a good season as a team, and there was success again. And when you talk about that kind of stuff and someone hears that kind of story versus, I went to Florida State, it didn't work out. I left. I went to Tulane, that didn't work out. I left. Well, people are going to start saying, well, what's the common denominator on all this? Like, you're just leaving. Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me that everybody did you wrong. You can't tell me that you didn't get your shot at all these places or a fair opportunity. And it's the long game of it. It's the long game of it. I mean, you got kids out here, in the NFL structure, they're under contracts. They're more mature, obviously, because they're older, but there's not an outside figure that's pressuring you because here's what it is. And there's really no gray area. Right now, you got kids that are getting pressured.
Mm-hmm.
Their families are pressuring them to make this money now because we could use it. Right. And people can, right. I'm all for people. Man, I wish everybody had money. I really do. But they got a lot of pressure under them that they feel like they have to do XYZ to appease other people sometimes. And I think it's unhealthy for individuals. It's added a lot of added pressure that wasn't there before, I don't think. Hell, because it didn't matter. When we were in school, it didn't matter what you did. You go 20 for 22 and throw 4 tugs and set some records, and guess what? I'm gonna go back to Smitty and damn eat me a peanut butter sandwich. You know what I mean? Like nothing changed.
You felt that one?
Man, my truck got towed that game. I parked in the wrong spot. The president couldn't get to her damn booth. Her bus couldn't drive through. I come back and where's my truck? So not only did nothing change,
You say you threw 4 touchdowns. You say you threw 4 touchdowns and your truck got towed?
Dude, I had to go pay $100 to get my damn truck. And they knew who I was. They knew whose truck that was. They said, well, we couldn't find you. You couldn't find me. I was probably on the 50-yard line somewhere. Like, it clearly said Norfolk State football on the back of that truck. Let's be honest. There's not a lot of me's running around Norfolk State. Like, that truck stood out. A red truck. Come on. You can't tell me you didn't know where I was. So, hell, I could have got somebody to go in the locker room and move that damn truck. But anyways, but that's
to be personal. That had to be personal.
Man, I was not happy. But
and just for context, you all, Chris he was a white guy at HBCU. So, talking about college university, that junior year was rough, right? He good quarterback. He beat out a local guy for the spot, and the quarterback there, was solid, but he beat him out for the spot, and there was a lot of backlash. The guy was local. He was a brother, and you bring in a white guy. He brought 2 white guys, Jake Strickland. Beat out Jake as well. I thought he was solid as well too. But Chris got that spot, and there was a lot of backlash, right? You be out the local guy, and then you have a rough season. The season was rough. We were implementing a new offense, new system, and it was a rough first year. But the next year had a really, really good year. Went and bought out conference, co-conference player of the year. But going back to that, like, I will say this. I have to tell myself not to overanalyze or look or like try to say like what they're leaving for is the wrong reason. So I have to tell myself like, hey, look, I don't know what they're leaving, but for whatever reason they're leaving. That's all. That's them. Hey, look, if you feel like you need to leave for whatever reason, hey, look, that's your decision. But one thing that I simply look at is like pathway to the NFL, and I really question: are they looking at pathway to the NFL? If I'm a cornerback and I am I'm a zone player. I excel in zone. I know how to the offense moves, defense moves. But if you play man coverage, I'm burnt toast. If I go and look at a team that's paying me X amount of dollars in NIL portal and they're playing man coverage, like we're playing. Hey, look, we're playing man majority of the time. I have to think to myself like, are they talking to me about football? Like, hey, look, we know you're a zone guy from your film. So are you capable of playing man? They're not saying that, right? I don't know. I don't think that, like these are things. If I'm a receiver guy, if I'm an X, and I like route creativity, I like working in open space, but I'm going to a system where I'm running to a spot, and that's it. These are things that they have to think about, and that's where I see like a guy, for example, like I'll give you two examples. A guy like the running back he left Alabama, and I forgot what his name was. He left Alabama. He went to I think Texas or went to another school, and Alabama rotates running backs. You play running back at Alabama, you're going to make it to the league. Yeah. You're going to make it to the league. Why leave? And now he's in a situation where he's not in the league. And we're seeing more stories of guys missing their mark because of transferring. And they're in a good system. They had to wait their turn. And then I see examples like, for example, I scrutinized Bo Nix. I was like, Bo Nix, man, this man's dookie. Like he couldn't throw a ball at Auburn. Went to Oregon, was a dog. I still doubted him. Went to the league and he's doing well with, of course, with Sean Payton. But I see his trajectory. So we have stories on both sides. But my main thing is, are they considering football in decision? Hey, I'm not going to judge why you're leaving, but are you considering football? And if you're considering football, that's a big thing for me. And that means football development, character, integrity, your skills, how you see the game, these are big things that help a player evolve in the league and beyond, as opposed to just being a good college player now.
Well, and that's a big part of this whole Nico story too, right? Is you said it earlier about was he getting developed? I'd heard stories that maybe there was some talks about him wanting to have some say in what kind of offense they're running, right? Or to your point, was he getting developed enough anyway? Maybe not. I don't know. I'm not in that room, but I do know that Milton, he got drafted and he got an opportunity to start, at least an opportunity for the Patriots. So the opportunity is going to be there. But if you do leave because you are looking for more development, then in my opinion, you better make sure that you know where you're going before you make that decision. And it sounded like obviously he didn't get to make that decision. Tennessee made it for him. And I think that's another part of why I've been a little disgruntled with the situation, is how Nico handled it. I think it goes back to being a kid and getting pressure from his advisors.
What do you mean how he handled it?
So apparently Thursday night, they had quarterback dinner, right? We used to go to Coach Canner's house and have Thursday night quarterback dinners.
Right.
He had that. All smiles, taking pictures. Everything was good. So in their mind that, hey, negotiations are at least in the right direction, because they're playing their spring game that Saturday, this past Saturday.
Right.
So this past Thursday has this quarterback dinner, and then Friday is a no-show, no call. Like, I don't like how that was handled. Like, if you're not happy about something, unless you already know that I'm leaving and I know where I'm going, why burn that bridge? Why take that opportunity or that chance to mess that relationship up? Because by you making a decision that someone else probably told him, hold out, they'll pay. It's Tennessee. They got money. They'll pay you. You're a
So
generational quarterback.
was he talking to Tennessee saying like, "Hey, I want more money"? Do you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that?
Yeah, yeah. They had the situation in the playoffs, but then they had been in negotiations all semester.
It's crazy. We're talking about negotiation,
And he was already making $2.5 million.
but you understand? It's crazy. We're talking about negotiations to like in college, like
And
you know,
I get it. Like he
that's
wanted,
crazy.
so the Archie Manning, they came out the same year. Okay.
Which
And
I think we look at college football. There's one like this year's draft of quarterbacks. I'm like, like they're decent. I don't see any guy. Like I only see guys that like Archie Manning is like, and what's his name? I don't think the guy at Texas is bad. What was his
viewers,
yeah, I don't think he's bad. I don't think he's a bad quarterback. But like
I
he's not.
wasn't overly impressed, but
Yeah, but I mean, like Archie Manning's like the prize, right? In 2 years, this is the guys. Actually, after next year, right?
next year, it's this coming up season. But that's the thing is let's be honest, dude is 100% already had the name.
Right.
You got the sellability, you got all the things that are working in his favor to get this stuff. But he's a
And this
dang
is
good
year
player.
three.
Yeah.
This is the three at Texas
He,
too. One cool.
he stayed committed. He
Yeah.
sat behind somebody for 2 years,
Right.
and he's going to reap the benefits. And so Nico got a year. He got a year to play ahead of time.
Yeah.
Right. And wanted to make what Manning was making. And so I get it. Like Manning was sitting the bench, making more money while he's playing a year, making less. But that's not your decision to make. Like you can push for it, sure, but don't put yourself in a bad situation to try to get there, because unless you know that I've got this other opportunity that's going to pay me $4 million that I like, that's going to give me everything else that I need to be successful for the future, why hold out? I think that was a
You
bad
think he'll
move.
get picked up? You think he'll get picked up by somebody?
He'll get picked up, but he ain't getting paid $4 million. They're talking about people holding out to wait for his price to drop.
I
So
saw
now he
that.
may be in
I
a
saw that.
situation where he's going to make less on a worse team.
I saw
And,
that. Yeah.
and let's be real. How many quarterbacks are coming straight out of college super overly developed? The game
Not
has
many.
changed
Yeah,
so much.
almost none. Yeah. I
So
mean, I mean, I even I talked a lot about Jaden Daniels this past year. You look at a 5-year quarterback. He's coming out. He's 24 years old. So he did Arizona State and then LSU, but like I still feel like he was advantageous from the offense. Like you're not quarterbacks start coming in the league, and then we're already talking about guys like not performing in the league. But look how many duds there were. Like that. Even if they spent 4 years, they went to the NFL, and then like they're a dud. Like the complexity of the NFL is so different
yeah,
than the college football.
you're
And
not
when you
playing
talk
an
about like
18, 19, 20-year-old. You're playing a damn 32-year-old that's been there for a hot minute and can
right,
still
who
run a
knows
4.40, and they're smart as all get out. They've seen it
exactly,
all.
and the intelligence in the game is the learning curve is. I think the learning curve is even bigger than the physicality itself. The physicality is up there, but the learning curve is bigger. These quarterbacks aren't coming out made ready. Like
No.
they're not, and if they are, like Bryce Young, I applaud him because that first year it was rough. This past year was rough. But
Yeah.
what did he do? Like we're starting to see some guys, like even like I was talking about Sam Darnold. Like Sam Darnold started to do well. Like, okay, why is he doing so well? Like, okay, he's on a couple teams. He had to perform immediately. So that set him back. Then he shifted around for multiple teams, and now he has an opportunity. And you see him starting to, like do well. Developing is it takes up Kyler Murray. Like,
Yeah.
these guys started getting like really good in like year 6 or year 7. You got to see who
Right.
they really are.
Right. And let's be honest. I mean, if you're going to have immediate success, you're going to have some good pieces around you. You have to.
Exactly.
no matter
Yeah.
what team you're on, from Pee Wee to the NFL, like you got to have good guys around you. I've always said, I could be the best quarterback in the area. If I'm on the shittiest team, I'm not going to be a very good quarterback. Or I could be really average on the best team, and it's going to make me look good. I
Right.
felt like, going back to even in Norfolk, like we had a really solid team that 2011 year. Like,
Yeah.
did I feel like I was at a certain spot for me personally? Yeah, but it really helped to have a really solid team around me.
Yeah, we had a good defense, we had a good offense as well. The offensive game plan
Well,
as well. But
when
it
you go
took a
to
lot of developing in year. In the junior year, it was a lot of work. The junior year, though, like the junior year,
well, I think it goes back to going back to scheme, right? What works with who you got, with your personnel, what fits with that mold. I mean, let's be real honest. We're handing that ball off to Branch 100 times a game if we could, because we were going to rack them
yeah,
stats up.
right.
We're in a I formation. Going back to that Hampton game, that's really where the wheels kind of fell off. I was given a one-man route to throw a post off of a play action
Yeah,
into double
we were
coverage. You know what I'm saying?
22,
Um,
22, 21 personnel.
and so then we go, I believe, so we switched our offense the last 4 games,
Yeah,
and
well,
we went
Blackman, right?
4-0 the rest of that season.
Mhm.
Going into that, I think we were 2-5. We were
Yeah,
2-5 going into those
that was
last 4.
Mass got fired, right?
He
Mass
did.
got fired, and
Yeah.
Blackman took over.
He didn't. It was the FAMU game. It was our homecoming game. Uh, he didn't even get out the press box. We never saw him again. And
I
and
actually heard he passed away too. Oh,
he did. Yep.
yeah,
R.I.P. But yeah, it's it comes down to these guys being in the right scheme, having a lot of success, and I think that's a part of it too. Is like in the college game, like you said, we don't know you coming out as a freshman if you're a dud or not. Jordan even talks about it now. Like we're paying people off of potential, where it used to be we're paying you off of what you're doing, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I do think that I do like the athletes getting paid. I think that the amount of revenue they bring in, like I looked at Alabama's the schools, and 2/3 of the school's endowment came from the football program.
Yeah.
Right. University of Alabama is the largest employer in that state.
Yep.
So it's like the amount of money that these programs, I think they should be getting paid. The
Yep.
schools
I
aren't
agree.
paying them. But like that's like, are they having that conversation about football? And
Right.
I'm not saying they are, they aren't, but I can tell you right now, I have some stories. I have some samples of like, why did this guy go play in this offense, or why did this guy, go play in this defense, you know? And if you're doing that homework, like if I'm a JUCO guy, I'm saying, all right, look, I'm a big tight end. Um, I can block, I can find spots, but don't have me go on deep routes. I'm going to, hey, look, let me go play at Iowa, or let me go play, or let me play at a school that runs the ball, like a
Yep.
Georgia Tech, or somewhere that allow me to block. Like I want to be in a space or a spot that's going to fit my mold of allowing me to be a good football player, that's going to develop me and my skills, that's going to get noticed by NFL scouts. Which
Right.
enough, we won't talk about this topic, but which is goes with the combine. Your game film is what's going to be the reign supreme. You
Yeah.
know, and if you like Isaiah Bond, like I don't know why in the world he left Alabama. Now I understand go to Texas. I think Sark maybe recruited him. I don't know. But he went to Texas. And I'm like, you could have been a starter at Alabama this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could have started Alabama this year. Ryan Williams, and then Giovanni Bernard. Like you could have been a starter. Now I like what Ryan Williams stayed at Alabama. Caleb Downs. I'm not too. Hey, look, he went to Ohio State, won a championship. Right? He got paid. He got paid. I was
That's all that was.
Yeah, but and I just like, okay, like it works out for some players, but there's a lot of players it doesn't work out for,
Yeah.
and you have success stories, but it's just as football in that conversation.
And,
That's the thing.
and for me, obviously times were different, but even when I transferred into Norfolk, um, literally what I looked for, I said, okay, it's FCS, but it's Division 1. That was number one. Number two, I'm going to get an opportunity to at least compete. Scholarship was there, and I was going to get to play West Virginia, Rutgers, and at least go to Tallahassee one time to play FAMU at home, to be back in my hometown. Now that part didn't work out because of the conference realignment, but I got to do the rest. You know, I had Division II offers that I had turned down mostly because they're all up north, and I wanted to get away from the cold. That wasn't
Yeah.
working out too well. I didn't like that, but yeah, that wasn't good. But you know, I'd been through. Heck, by the time I left Joliet, I'd already had 5 different offenses since my sophomore year in high school. I felt like I could do it all. I think that's why I transitioned so quickly from our offense our junior year from Mass to Blackwell. Like it was nothing. Like, okay, let's move on and go.
Yeah.
So the football aspect, I was like, whatever you want to give me, I can play in. Now it helps to be put in the right situation. I mean, you've talked about this in the past. That offense that we ran our whole senior year, like they put me in a good situation. Now, did I know football and know where to go and how to read it and a lot of film work and all like I did my part. I was very prepared. Thank you, Steve Canner.
Yeah.
But they put me in a good situation. I knew what I needed to do, and we made quick decisions. And you know, we moved up and down the field on a lot of people. And so I just think that, to your point of, are we talking football? I don't know that a lot of these guys, because of the sheer number of how many people hit the portal every time it opens up.
Are they thinking? Are they even thinking about it?
Yeah, like
Are
I
they even
really
thinking about
feel
it?
like it's turning into a generation of, oh, poor me. Like I just feel that way. Like, why can't you stick it out another year and see what happens? Now, if you just know for sure, like this ain't it, sure, whatever. But I mean, I don't know. It's
I
just,
think no, I think it will. I think it will. I think we are seeing like, hey, I need to play now. Some of that, which is there, right? Well, I need to play now. Um, when I look at like, um, I felt like my senior year, I was a guy trying to just fight on the field, field, right? But my whole college career, walk on, trying to get on the field. When I tore my ACL, like I really got to sit back and watch us. I felt like the game where we saw like your best development was against ODU because we had to work outside the parameters of our offense. Like what's working, they had figured it out, right? You had to be a football player, and we got to see you be a football player. And that, I mean, you played against a guy that we lost against a team that played against that guy played in the NFL, right? Play, Tyler Heineke,
still playing.
right? Yeah, still playing, right? So but you were a football player. The ability, like if we would have had an offense that said, okay, if our offense is work, it's set, but how do we really develop all of our guys to train with outside the offense? There was only, I'll be honest with you, there was really only one player that knew how to do that, and I felt like you were the one like improvising, a lot that game, like run around with chicken with the head cut off, but developing play. That's what I want to see players think. Like, hey, is this going to develop me? Right? Hey, look, if I'm going from team to team or team to team, I gotta be game. I'm knowing this system. I know this system. I know this system. Okay, what system have I been most successful in? And where, if I do transfer, where should I go next?
Right.
I don't think the players are thinking about the players that think student athletes are thinking about that. I think that, and I don't know, but this is from what I personally believe, and my assumption, what I see and what I think I see, and speaking with players as well too. I train a lot of guys who play college basketball, and the goal is D3, JUCO, and then go D1. Same thing with football. Go D1 JUCO or go D3, go D2, transfer, like you said, transfer up. The transfer portal is going to set itself, I think. I think we're going to see over the time period, there's going to be a huge outpour of people leaving. chasing the money, and then I think it's going to level off. Guys are going to see, coaches are going to see, right? That hey, you don't need to offer a guy that much, right? If you can develop a guy in the portal, the transfer portal that may not be a high guy that's the same as this guy right here, go with that guy. You want to develop a freshman, right? I think we're going to see it level off itself where the portal is not going to be as heavy as it is now, but we're looking like maybe next 2 to 3 years, it's going to be okay. We're going to see them back in the homes of we're getting recruits, right? Recruits are going to be asking for a lot of money, right? They're going to be more like GMs. Like they have to be GMs now because you have to add that money piece to your case. Which with Nico, Jalen Hurts was the highest paid quarterback. Joe Burrow got a new deal. Jalen Hurts didn't go to the front office and say, pay me more, right? Yeah. So guys, I think are going to have to start thinking like that. Like when I got something good, right? This is what it is. And if you start seeing more guys do it, I love how I don't know if every coach is going to talk like Landy, but if coaches talk, then they can set the narrative.
And to your point, what you just said, okay, those two examples, Burrow and
Hurts.
What do they have in common? They're both transfer guys. They're proven, but in college, they both transferred. So we know that it can be a good thing. But I was really big on Hurts when he was in college because I felt like he did it the right way. He lost his job. He stayed a year, competed, didn't win the job. But I'm a good teammate. I'm committed to this thing.
Right.
And then once he graduated from Alabama, he went to Oklahoma. He got another opportunity, made the best of it. And I think that builds something in an individual that when he does get to the NFL where it is really hard, he's going to flourish. He's going to do well. Same thing with Burrow. He went to Ohio State, didn't work out. It was a little different situation than Hurts, of course, but goes to LSU, earns that position, and does well. I'd be real interested in seeing the stats, and I don't even know if it's out there somewhere of, who are the guys that are entering the portal? Is it a bunch of young guys? Is it a bunch of older guys? Because I can understand older guys, that are, hey, I've been here for 2 years and it's not working out. I'm not against the portal. I just don't like when guys are jumping from team to team to team to team over and over. And I'm not against paying players. I just think that it could be structured a lot better.